So when anybody in the vinyl community travels, they're almost always going shopping for records wherever they happen to go. Um, I'm not entirely that way. Uh, Records are a pain in the ass to travel with, in my opinion. You know, if you pop it on a plane and you don't have a big enough bag with you, and I like to travel light, you got to really kind of hold on to the records in your seat and fuck that. But anyway, I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago, in Cozumel specifically. There's no record shops there, so I really couldn't look for anything there. Uh, I don't know how anybody would have records down there. It was hot as hell in October, so. Anyway, and yes, I've heard of air conditioning. So this past weekend, I was in San Francisco for an engagement party for a stepdaughter, and just had some time one afternoon, so I popped. I just went for a walk. We were up in North Beach. If you're familiar with San Francisco, not that I'm that familiar with it, I just knew it was North Beach because everywhere you look, it says North Beach. So I'm taking a walk. I walked to the one, from what I could figure, independent record store there, at least anywhere near North Beach. I think it was called 101 Records. It was 101 something. And I pop in, and it's a small place, crammed full of records, and guy behind the counter is he kind of has like that, like face of like maybe an 80-year-old, but like the hair of a rocker, like maybe kind of like a Robert Plant kind of curly, big do, but grayish and blackish. So anyway, I look at the guy, I'm like, all right, well, you kind of generalize about people right or wrong from the way they appear. And so I go, hey, I'm from out of town. Do you have any, either psych or metal from, a newer local bands to San Francisco or the Bay Area? And he's kind of like, I'm not really a metal guy. He's like, you could Google it on your phone. I'm like, all right, well, how about psych? And it's like, well, I'm not that up on the new music. I'm like, all right, well, how about like psych from a San Francisco band from any area, any time period? As far as what you got, like what would you recommend? Because I'm big on recommendations. It's like that's a great thing about the vinyl community. You get to know people's tastes, or somebody recommends something, you try it out. And if I go into a physical record store, which for me is not that often, I like to talk to people and get a recommendation. I value that far more than oh, here's what the record cover looks like. It looks like it'd be good, and then it's Captain and Tennille shit or something. So anyway, this guy's like, I'm like, yeah, how about some psych from a San Francisco band from any time period that you happen to have in the store? I don't really know. You could look it up online. And the funny thing was, like when I was like looking up the directions to the store, like one of the Google reviews or something, it said something like, guy told me to Google something instead of knowing the answer to a question. Anyway, I thought that was weird. So anyway, I didn't buy anything. I flipped through the records. I'm not, the guy wasn't a bad guy at the counter. Just, that was an odd record store experience for me, that's all. So I didn't buy anything. After I left, I had found out apparently there's like an annex to 101, maybe like around the corner or across the street. An annex to 101 Records, not the highway. And like a basement full of shit or something. But that would take you days and days and days to dig through, and I just didn't have that kind of time. So I wasn't heading back. So anyway, it seemed like, all right, it's like fake record store. Let me head back to the hotel. So it's like an Italian kind of looking neighborhood. And walk by, and like I just kind of like walk by this cafe with an Italian name to it. And like as I walk past out of the corner of my eye, I see like a pastry display case on the counter. I walked by and then I stopped and I was like, oh man, I haven't had a cannoli in ages. You live in Portland. You're not getting good cannoli. So I pop back in. I'm like, walk back. I'm like, hey, do you have any cannoli? Because I'm thinking it's Italian name of this place, cafe. Got pastry, and but I didn't see any in the display case. And the guy behind the counter is like, canola? I'm like, no, cannoli. He's like, canola? I'm like, no, cannoli, the pastry with the cheese inside. I'm like, no, it's in the case. So anyway, like after the fake record store, within 10 minutes, I'm like in a fake Italian cafe. So anyway, like later that night, we just ended up going down Columbus Avenue in North Beach, in North San Francisco. And, on Columbus Avenue, named after the great Italian explorer, which I'm surprised has not yet been renamed to like, Oppressive Explorer Avenue. It is San Francisco. So anyway, like just off Columbus, we found a good Italian restaurant to go to that somebody had recommended. We didn't remember the name, but my girlfriend recognized the name as something that was recommended. So we went in there. It's an actual Italian guy, in the restaurant telling us the specials, recommending wine and whatnot, and had a great meal. And when he asked if we wanted dessert, I was stuffed, but they had cannoli, and I had my fucking cannoli. God damn it. Can't get cannoli in Portland. I live in Portland, Oregon. Way back when, in downtown Portland, the Italian and Jewish neighborhoods were raised to put in spiffier buildings. So there's no real Italian neighborhood here, or a Jewish neighborhood for that matter, that I know of. So you want cannoli, you want bagels. Good luck in Portland. They have plenty of places that are bagel shops that serve bagel-shaped bread, but a bagel's boiled. That's not a bagel. So what the fuck am I talking about? Let me get to this point of this video. Let's get to that Clash thing. Getting to the point of this video after rambling. Thanks for putting up with me. But, life without cannoli is not a life I want to live. This is part 16 of ultimately 19 parts of my quest to collect all the original UK singles on 7-inch records that were released by the Clash. This installment is going to cover Know Your Rights. That's the A-side. It's backed with First Night in London. This came out in 1982. Know Your Rights was the first single off the Combat Rock album. I think that's the 5th album by the Clash. 5th studio album. Let's take a look at the actual vinyl on CBS as usual. And then First Night Back in London on the B-side. This record also came with a sticker, which I actually do have. It's a Know Your Rights sticker. The future is unwritten. And it's got a book with no writing in it with a cutout for a pistol. So anyway, Know Your Rights. That is a great song. It's it's 1982, and it feels like nothing's changed. It's Know Your Rights. You got 3 rights. The right not to be killed, because murder's a crime, unless you're a policeman. Let's see, nothing's changed. Or an aristocrat. Harvey Weinstein. Not that he killed anybody. As far as we know. Second right, you have the right to money for food, as long as you don't mind a little humiliation and rehabilitation on the way. I guess they're getting at food stamps there. I don't know. And then you got the third right is the right to free speech, as long as you're not stupid enough to actually exercise that right. See, nothing's changed. Know Your Rights. Anyway, it's a great song. They just don't make songs like that anymore. It's a song that matters. It is a great song. First Night Back in London is a weird song. My understanding is that the Clash have never performed it live because it's a tricky song. It's like one of those like later Beatles songs where like you can't really reproduce it outside the studio unless you had like a ton of people on stage. Like the drums are, it's got like a reggae beat to it. But like the drums, it's like, you got real drums in there, you got fake drums, you know, like electronic drums, and you got bongos in there. So how many? You can only do so much at one time. There's some like weird. There's like a weird bit of saxophone in there, I think. It's just a strange song. So I guess they didn't play it live anywhere, and like a lot of B-sides, it was not on a studio album, just on Black Market Clash. I assume. I don't have that album, but I'm sure it's on there. So anyway, cool record. Number 16 out of 19. You got to Know Your Rights as the A-side, and then First Night Back in London. First Night Back in London, all I can really grab out of it is they're sad about being back in London, and something about the taxi driver getting searched, but the passenger not getting searched. The taxi driver's black, the passenger is not, and the taxi driver is being searched for drugs, and the passenger has drugs in his hair, and it's not being searched. Anyway, Know Your Rights, great song. Reminds me that Combat Rock is a very, very good album. And back with First Night Back in London. And I'm going to shut up now. So that was 16 out of 19. I got 3 more to hunt down. I'm doing this at 1 record per month, so this has been kind of a journey. And I'll be back next month with something else. And maybe a video besides just this stuff. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.